Hello and welcome. Tonight, court remands former Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, and his co-defendants in Kuje Custodial Center after they pleaded not guilty to fraud charges to the tune of over 109 billion naira. Federal High Court disqualifies Governor David Umahi from contesting Ebonyi South senatorial seat, says move by the governor contradicts the Electoral Act. And the president restates his commitment to a credible and violence-free election in 2023, passes vote of confidence on the APC vice presidential candidate, Kashim Shettima.
On business news tonight, global wheat prices fall to 5-month low after Ukraine and Russia strike a deal to unblock shipments of grains.
And on sports news tonight, Nigeria's Super Falcons and Shipolo of Zambia battle for a bronze medal in the third-place match at the 12th Women Africa Cup of Nations in Casablanca.
And from Abuja, members of the Senior Staff Association of Universities and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities fault the recommendations of a federal government committee set up to end ongoing strikes in the nation's universities.
And in international news from London, Turkey says it has brokered a deal with Russia to unblock exports of grain from Ukraine through the Black Sea.
And he may have preferred being a guest of the EFCC, but the former Accountant General of the Federation, Mr. Ahmed Idris, and his co-defendants will be spending the next 5 days at the Kuje Correctional Center, pending the hearing of their bail application. This follows the order of the Federal Capital Territory High Court after the accused pleaded not guilty to a 14-count charge bordering on stealing and criminal breach of trust to the tune of 109.5 billion naira. The charges were preferred against them by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission.
Surrounded by operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the suspended Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, and 3 others are at the Federal Capital Territory High Court, Abuja, for their arraignment by the Commission. The courtroom is filled with lawyers, members of the public, and the media who are here to witness the arraignment. The arrival of the judge signals the commencement of the case. The defendants take to the dock and plead not guilty to the 14-count charge preferred against them. The defendants' counsel urged the court to maintain the administrative bail granted to the clients by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, since they have never breached any of the conditions by the Commission, and the Commission is still in possession of their international passports. However, the prosecution counsel, Mr. Rotimi Jacobs, objected to the submissions of the defendants' counsel, stating that the decision would send a wrong signal to the general public. He adds that the defendants only enjoyed the administrative bail when the matter wasn't charged to court, but now bail is at the discretion of the court. After listening to both parties, the trial judge, Justice Adeyemi Ajayi, ordered that the defendants be remanded in Kuje Correctional Facility, pending the hearing of the bail application. Nevertheless, the defense counsel says the charges are not what is portrayed in the public.
As equally curious and anxious as every other member of the society, I want to see the details of this matter. And from the bit I have seen in the proof of evidence, is a far cry from the humongous figures, fantastic sums that are being bundled. You can see that this whole charge is being used to suppress and cover something else. And I'm very confident that this trial will expose that thing that is trying to be suppressed.
However, the EFCC counsel refused his claim.
You will see what was in the media before. It's the same amount, it's the same figure. And you see the confessional statement there. It's only in our country that somebody who make a confessional statement will still come before the world and tell the world that he's innocent. So it has to tell you about our value system. Get the confessional statement made by all of them. These some were admitted by them. So it's not a question of being played to the gallery or saying something different. It is a exact figure that people reported that is in the charge. And they themselves, in their own handwriting, in the presence of their own lawyer, admitted it.
Other defendants in the matter are Olusegun Akindele, Mohammed Usman, and Gazawa Commodity Market and Exchange Limited. The judge subsequently adjourned the case to July the 27th for hearing on their bail application.
In another legal matter, a federal high court sitting in Abakaliki, the Ebonyi state capital, has disqualified the state governor, David Umahi, from contesting the senatorial election under the platform of the All Progressives Congress. So disqualified is the governor's younger brother, Austin Umahi, who had won the primary but later resigned to pave way for Governor Umahi to contest the Ebonyi South senatorial seat, having lost out in the APC presidential primary. INEC had omitted Governor Umahi's name from its list, explaining that it never monitored any rerun primary announcing him as candidate. In response, Governor Umahi approached the Federal High Court seeking an order for INEC to publish his name, and Agom Eze applied to be joined in the suit. However, the court declared today that with the withdrawal of Austin Umahi after winning the primary, the authentic candidate of the APC for Ebonyi South Senatorial District is Anne Agom Eze. Honorable Justice Fatun Riemann held that Section 115 of the Electoral Act forbids a person from contesting two different primary elections in the same year. But in a swift reaction, the Special Assistant to Governor Umahi on Strategy, Chris Oko, said the judge was misled by Anne Agom Eze, whom he alleged lied on oath that she never withdrew from the contest. He, however, claimed that the court's pronouncement is for a rerun of the election within 14 days, in which all the parties will participate. Meanwhile, the Federal High Court in Abuja has issued a 7-day ultimatum to Mr. Rotimi Jacobs, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, to show cause why he should not be disqualified from further prosecuting a former governor of Abia State and Senate Chief Whip, Ojuzo Kalu, in a 7.2 billion naira money laundering charge. Justice Inyagoko made the order while delivering ruling in a motion filed by Rotimi Jacobs' chambers seeking transfer of the trial to Lagos State Division of the court. In the ruling, Justice Eko held that Mr. Jacobs and his team have engaged in gross abuse of court process in the manner the prosecution was being handled. The judge dismissed the request to transfer the trial to Lagos on the ground that it's only the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Soho, who can do so in line with Section 98 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015. Alternatively, Justice Eko held that the prosecution was at liberty to go back to the Supreme Court to seek a review of the order that remitted the trial to the Federal High Court. And away from the court, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is asking the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, to withdraw from the race over the alleged hiring of Christian clerics for the unveiling of his presidential running mate in Abuja on Wednesday. PDP spokesperson Mr. Debo Olugunagba told journalists at a news conference in Abuja that the reactions that trailed the unveiling ceremony signposts a rejection of the ruling party.
Nigerians were seeking by videos and pictorial evidence of known mechanics, bus conductors, and fraudsters sacrilegiously being dressed in fake bishop vestment and paid to endorse the unveiling of Asiwaju Tinubu's widely rejected running mate, Senator Kashim Shettima. Such action is unacceptable and unbecoming of any individual aspiring to a leadership position at any level, let alone the office of the president. This is an embarrassment to leadership. More sickening is the outcry by the Heralians that they were defrauded by agents of the APC presidential candidate, who paid them sums ranging from 30,000 to 40,000, as against the 100,000 they were earlier promised. The APC president candidate and his party should know that it is in his own interest to withdraw from the race, as it will be a futile to go into an election in which the will and aspiration of the people are manifestly against him and the APC. Ashwaju has no political fighting chance in the face of the soaring popularity of PDP's very competent, candid, transparent, people-oriented, and much more prepared presidential candidate, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar, at the poll.
Well, staying with politics, the president has given a vote of confidence to the vice presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Kashim Shettima, while stating that Nigeria's unity beyond 2023 is his concern. President Muhammadu Buhari said this today while meeting with key stakeholders of the party at the council chamber. Although the presidential flag bearer, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, and Southwest governors were conspicuously absent at the meeting. Earlier, while meeting with a delegation led by the Nasarawa State Governor to the villa, the president reaffirmed his commitment to credible and violence-free polls in the country. Our State House correspondent, Gloria Mizuke, reports.
Stakeholders of the All Progressives Congress converge on the council chamber, and for the second time in 1 week, the president would be meeting with the vice presidential candidate of the party, Kashim Shettima, although the presidential candidate and Southwest governors are absent.
We are here essentially.
The vice presidential candidate explains his boss's absence as he once again seeks the president's support.
On behalf of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is unavoidably absent due to a communication gap, will come to you, will knock on your door, Your Excellency, to seek for your advice and support as we commence the business of our commitment to the Nigeria project. We want to latch on to your achievements, we want to latch on to your brand name for us to cruise home to victory and consolidate the leadership of the All Progressive Congress.
President Buhari, who expressed a vote of confidence in the party's choice of vice presidential candidate, made clear that his utmost concern is for the party to deliver unity and prosperity to Nigerians.
When the presidential running mate was presented to me a couple of days ago, I said I will reserve my comments till I hand over to him and the new president on May 29th, 2023 at the Eagle Square. I still maintain that same position, but I'm glad you have come out to state his many virtues which qualify him for the noble position. He will not disappoint the party and Nigerians at large.
Although 48 hours ago, the president had stated that he believes the APC ticket will emerge victorious at the polls, the stakeholders amplify their shared objective.
We are the father of this party, and there's no better parting gift that we can give to ensure sustainability of our support, of our loyalty, and all that you stand for this far in your life. The only way we can crown that effort is to ensure that we produce the next president who will succeed you by the grace of God.
Earlier, the president received a delegation from Nasarawa State led by Governor Abdullahi Sule, where he affirms his stance on credible and violence-free polls.
The off-season elections in Anambra, Ekiti, and Osun states confirm the administration's resoluteness on this matter. My desire for our nation is that the 2023 elections should clearly mark the commencement of the institutional strength of our electoral body in conducting acceptable, credible, and violence-free elections.
The president underlines the crucial need for more synergy between the three tiers of government to advance good governance in the country. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, the International Republican Institute and National Democratic Institute recommend ways to build on the recent success recorded by INEC in the Ekiti and Oshu governorship elections. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Court remands former Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, and his co-defendants in Kuje Custodial Center after they pleaded not guilty to fraud charges to the tune of over 109.5 billion naira. Federal High Court disqualifies Governor David Umahi from contesting Ebonyi South senatorial seat. Says move by the governor contradicts the Electoral Act. The president restates his commitment to credible and violence-free election in 2023, passes vote of confidence on the APC vice presidential candidate, Kashim Shettima. And Turkey says it's brokered a deal with Russia to unblock exports of grain from Ukraine through the Black Sea. Ahead of the 2023 general elections, the International Republican Institute and National Democratic Institute Joint Elections Observation Mission for the 2023 general elections is recommending of building on the recent successes recorded by INEC in the conduct of elections. Briefing journalists in Abuja today, the group said it had met with all the major stakeholders in the elections, during which they expressed confidence in its recommendations.
IRI and NDI offer the following actionable recommendations within that time frame for consideration by stakeholders. INEC should be allocated its remaining funding to ensure they are able to complete procurement processes, training, and deployment of necessary staff and materials. Number 2, the courts should be allocated sufficient funding to ensure members of election tribunals have the necessary resources for training, transportation, and security. Number 3, INEC should extend the period for voter registration to capitalize on excitement from the Osun and Ekiti elections and nomination of final presidential and vice presidential candidates. Number 4, INEC and the security forces should enforce and widely publicize the penalties for committing electoral offenses under the new electoral law, particularly vote buying. INEC and security forces should also communicate to the public the number of arrests, charges, and convictions for electoral offenses. Number 5, in line with accepted international best practices, in addition to posting images of the polling unit level results forms, the EC.8A, on the iRev, INEC should commit to posting the results spreadsheets created for each level of collation, as well as the registration area, local government area, and state result forms.
We've got more stories from our Abuja studios. It's over to you, Gloria.
Thank you, Millicent. In Abuja, we begin with the crisis in Nigeria's public universities, which seems far from over, as members of the Senior Staff Association of Universities, SANU, and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities, NASU, say that they will not be bound by recommendations of the Professor Nimi Briggs Committee, which was set up by the federal government to end the strikes in the nation's universities. Well, speaking at a joint news conference in Abuja, the striking universities workers explained that they never concluded negotiations with the committee before it submitted its recommendations to the government for implementation.
A It's been almost 4 months since members of the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities, NASU, as well as the Senior Staff Union of Universities, SANU, embarked on an industrial action, bringing all non-academic activities in public universities to a halt.
The President of SANU.
This news conference in Abuja by the leadership of NASU and SANU is to update journalists on the current state of affairs, and it seems that the two unions are unhappy with the negotiations so far.
Today marks the 117th day of our national strike. It needs being reiterated that it has never been the desire of NASU and SANU to grant the system. We have, however, been compelled by the shabby treatment that we as workers have received in the university system. As of today, out of the 8 issues that led to the strike, none of them have been conclusively and comprehensively addressed by government.
The federal government in March this year constituted a committee headed by Professor Nimi Briggs to negotiate with ASU, NASU and SANU to end the ongoing strike in the universities. Although that committee submitted its report, members of SANU and NASU at this briefing are rejecting its recommendations.
What we have presented before you here, we have not been dealt with in this renegotiation adequately. And it is a betrayal on the part of the Briggs Committee, not because they dealt with ASU, no, but because they have not dealt with us the way they ought to deal with us.
Academic activities in public universities have been grounded since February this year, when lecturers embarked on a strike, a situation that became complicated when NASU and SANU also declared a strike in April. President Buhari recently gave a marching order to the Minister of Education and the Minister of Labor and Employment to end the ongoing strike in the university system within 2 weeks. If that order is anything to go by, it remains the only hope for students in public universities in Nigeria who have wasted over a semester at home owing to the strike.
To security matters, 5 persons have been killed by people suspected to be bandits in Naton district of Fobor, Jos East local government area of Plateau State. The incident was said to have occurred on Thursday night when gunmen stormed the village while the people were asleep and started shooting sporadically, leading to the death of 5 persons. Police spokesperson in the State Command, DCP Alfred Alabo, said that all the victims died from gunshots wound, while the command has deployed police tactical team alongside hunters and vigilantes to go after the attackers. DSP Alfred Alabo told Channels Television that normalcy has returned to the community and 5 victims have been buried. A 23-year-old man known as Abubakar Mohammed, said to have escaped from the Kuje Correctional Center, where he was serving time on terrorism charges, have been arrested by the police in Adamawa State. He was apprehended while trying to relocate to his native home in Bama local government in Borno State, according to the Commissioner of Police in the state, Sikiru Akonde. This comes as the police in Benue State also announced the arrest of another inmate of the correctional center.
Slowly but surely, security operatives are rearresting escaping inmates from the Kuje Custodial Center following the attack on the facility. 23-year-old Mohammed was rearrested in Yola, the state capital, while trying to relocate to his native home of Bama local government area in Borno State. The escapee had prior to his arrest been in detention at the Kuje facility since 2017 over alleged involvement in terrorism.
Detectives in Mubi, they suspected somebody, and after interrogation they discovered that the boy is one of those people who escaped from Kuje Correctional Center.
The arrests continue as police operatives in Benue State have also arrested 1 inmate of the Kuje Correctional Center who escaped from the facility. Spokesperson for the State Police Command, Catherine Anene, who confirmed the development in a statement on Thursday in Makadi, said the suspect, Ebube Igwe Jude, was arrested in the state capital on Tuesday. This brings to 7 the number of arrested inmates who escaped from the Kuje Correctional Facility 3 weeks ago. The police commissioner in Adamawa hands over the Kuje prison inmates to the controller of the Nigerian Correctional Center, Adamawa Command.
I'm sure most of the people are aware of what has happened in Kuje some weeks back, where an inmates escaped, almost 1,000 inmates escaped. So we are happy that now we are capturing them one after the other.
The command also arrested a fake soldier suspected of extortion and 12 suspected kidnappers and armed robbers. The police assures Adamawa citizens that the command will continue to review their operational plan while also applauding the citizens for their cooperation.
To other stories, the Edo Museum of West African Arts, Ebonyi, will be a one-stop shop for heritage and culture in the West African sub-region, besides housing Benin artifacts and other works of art. But this is according to Edo State Governor, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, who was addressing a stakeholders meeting to unveil Phase 1 of the project in Benin City, the Edo State capital. He gave the assurance that the first phase of the legacy project will be delivered before the end of his tenure in 2024.
The chairman of the Ebonyi Trust, Philip Iheanacho, explains the outline of the Ebonyi project to stakeholders drawn from the public and private sectors.
You will recognize Exotic Street here, but there are going to be a lot of things that you will not recognize.
Mr. Iheanacho breaks down the objective of the proposed West African Museum.
One of the things that at the heart of this project is to try to use the culture of Benin as a way of establishing Benin as a center for creative arts and creative industries.
The conversation on restitution of stolen Benin artifacts between the federal government of Nigeria and various museums around the world has become public knowledge. For Governor Godwin Obaseki, Ebonyi is beyond the facility to house Benin artifacts, instead an institution to showcase the rich Edo cultural heritage to the world.
So it's just beyond a few, several pieces of artworks. No, it's beyond that. It's using that as you say in Christianity, the contact point to bringing out the rest of who we are. There's a whole work, a lot of research that still needs to be done. We can't have things about us being explained to us from Europe.
He adds that the Ebonyi project has been thoroughly worked out to see the light of day.
Whatever issues, whatever questions, just ask so that, and whatever support we can now lend to the team, let's do. Because we must start the work this year, and by the time we're leaving in 2024, we should have at least the first phase completed and work will have started.
From this seminar, the first phase of the Edo Museum of West African Arts, Ebonyi, on completion will include a pavilion where creative works of art will be on display to the public. The overall picture is a world-class museum connecting the entire West Africa through heritage and culture.
Well, still ahead on the news at 10, global wheat prices fall to 5-month low following Ukraine and Russia deal to unblock shipment of grains. Well, that's in business news. Do join us again. Back in Lagos, the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, has set up the Niger Delta Talent Hunt Initiative, which aims at discovering new creatives in the region and showcasing them to the international community. The initiative was commissioned by the NDDC Interim Administrator, Dr. Effiong Akwa, at the NDDC headquarters in Port Harcourt, the River State capital. Dr. Akwa says the interventionist agency will continue to create programs to address the challenges of youth in the Niger Delta.
Thank you very much.
With the array of talents from the Niger Delta region already in the entertainment industry, the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, is set to discover more as part of measures to develop young people in the oil-rich region. At the flag-off of the Niger Delta Talent Hunt in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, Popular names in the country's entertainment industry, including Ebonyi David Jumbo, better known as Mr. UK, and Harrison Tare Okiri, popularly known as Harry Song, will provide the expertise needed for the initiative.
Here, we now are putting together the Niger Delta Entertainment Youth Talent Hub. That's going to be one of the biggest platforms. We'll now begin to make stars, empower them, transport them, showcase them to the world. And I must tell you that this is a dream come true, not just for me as a youth in the region, but every youth have been looking for a platform such as this.
The NDDC is seeing the Niger Delta Talent Hunt as a flagship program of its Youth and Sports Directorate, geared towards harnessing the creative talents of young people across the 9 NDDC mandate states.
This package is going to engage the youths and create an awareness so that we may also be able to bring the youths together, and at the end of the day, everything that we are going to achieve will be to look for the great talents.
The program is a deliberate attempt by the agency to uplift the youths of the region through the creative sector.
Our focus in this program is to identify these youths, engage them, build them. It is often said, if you build a youth, you build a nation. If you support the youth, you support the nation. So we want to identify these youths, engage them, and build them up, and they will be very active in the entertainment industry. And who knows, in a short while, our major ultimate aim is to export these talents to the rest of the world.
The NDDC boss also gives insight into the kind of support being provided by the agency during the course of the program.
Here, NDDC has given a platform. You can come out and showcase your talents. We will nurture you, we will support you, and we will help you. Your voice will be heard in the rest of the world. Come and t-shirt for this event.
The NDDC Talent Hunt is designed to tackle the challenges and lack of opportunities facing young people in the region. The program is set to kick off from Ondo State and run for some months across states covered by the Commission, with the finals billed for Port Harcourt, the River State capital.
To other stories, the Central Bank of Nigeria has continued to work on developmental finances as a strategy to deal with the cost push driver of inflation. The CBN Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, believes that this is already yielding fruit and reducing medical tourism, as may be evident in Duchess International Hospital.
The bank has released over 130 billion naira to 129 projects across the country, comprising 76 hospitals, 32 pharmaceutical companies, and 21 other healthcare services. I thank the Vice President because what he has done is to set an exemplary example to say that in Nigeria you can go to a hospital and get treated no matter how highly placed that you are. In fact, and I will also say it is to his credit, that when Reddington, which also owns Duchess, applied for a facility through Guarantee Trust Bank, I think Guarantee Trust or one of the banks, to CBN, we were even then a little bit reluctant. We said, what would the revenue be? What would the collection be in a hospital and the rest of them? Well, is this not excessive risk and the rest of them? But of course, with his insistence, we granted the first facility. Reddington Hospital is there for you to see in VI. Now, we granted a second facility. They set up the Duchess International Hospital. We commissioned the hospital last year in Lagos. I was there to see it. And I'm sure Duchess is an example of the world-class, state-of-the-art hospital facility. Duchess has brought, from time to time, they bring in our specialist Nigerians from the United States, from the UK, from all over the world to come and conduct some of the most complicated surgeries here in Lagos.
And after 5 decades of manufacturing in Nigeria, indigenous brand Daily Need Industries celebrates its 50th anniversary in Victoria Island, Lagos. The brand, which was founded by industrialist Ebonyi Jolayemi, is one of the country's foremost pharmaceutical manufacturing company, with over 15 products in the market.
It's a milestone year for Daily Need Industries as the company marks its golden jubilee. After half a century of manufacturing in Nigeria, the indigenous brand founded by Otumba Ebonyi Jolayemi celebrates in style its tenacity and triumphs over the last 50 years. For this landmark event, the company holds a panel discussion focusing on the topic Green to Gold, Operational Realities in the 21st Century. While the Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, takes the audience down memory lane, the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Adeni Adebayo, speaks highly of Otumba Jolayemi.
I remember Daily Needs. Growing up, I can't remember the advert very well, but I remember your daily need. You know, so those are some of there were no color televisions then. They were black and white TVs. But these were the men that laid the foundation, you know, for the economy, for Nigeria being the biggest, you know, economy in our country, sorry, in the continent today.
Otumba Jolayemi began Daily Need Chemist in 1970, at a time when the country was in serious recession. He was able to prove that he had the grit and determination to put in the work and develop a strong brand, reliable consumer goods, and great customer service. He is a brave businessman, and encouraging our youth to follow in his footsteps is pivotal to our collective progress as a nation.
The founder, who was also celebrated for his achievements, speaks on how the company has evolved.
From our humble beginning in 1972, we are foremost group with interests of pharmaceutical and food, personal care products. The day-to-day management of the group operation has been successfully transmitted to the second generation of Ebonyi Jolayemis, to whom delighted have been doing wonderfully well.
Daily Need Industries was founded on November 17, 1972, with its Paulina Beauty Cream, and the company looks forward to what the next 50 years will bring.
And the Nigerian Bar Association has asked the chairman of the body of benches, Chief Wole Olanipekun, to recuse himself from the chairmanship of the body of benches to allow for the emplacement of an interim leadership in order to allow the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee, LPDC, investigate an alleged act of professional misconduct by one of his partners. The call was made via a letter dated the 22nd of July and personally signed by the president of the bar, Olumide Akpata. The letter, which is addressed to Chief Wole Olanipekun SAN, is titled Petition Against Ms. Adekunbi Ogunde by the Nigerian Bar Association for Alleged Misconduct. About a month ago, Ms. Ogunde, a partner at the law firm of Wole Olanipekun & Co., had admitted sending an email to Saipem Contracting Nigeria Limited to solicit for a brief which was being handled by Ajimogobia and Okeke, the law firm of Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Odeyin Ajimogobia. The brief is related to the ongoing $130 million case at the River State High Court brought by the River State government. In soliciting for the brief, Ms. Ogunde wrote to a certain Mr. Kayo Fransco of Saipem, claiming that her law firm, Wole Olanipekun & Co., would be more influential in helping Saipem avert a potential huge payout to the River State government. She would later blame this on youthful exuberance. The firm also sent out a disclaimer that Ogunde's letter is sent out without their authority. By a letter dated the 19th of July, the NBA wrote a petition against Ogunde, recommending that she be required to answer for the allegations of professional misconduct. The NBA president swiftly followed up today with a call for Chief Olanipekun to step aside to allow for due process and for the LPDC to carry out its duties without the board chairman coming under an undue suspicion of impartiality. Channels Television's judiciary correspondent spoke to Chief Olanipekun via telephone to get his reaction to the letter, but he said he was on holiday outside the country and had not seen the letter or received it. We return once more to one of our lead stories about the Federal High Court in Abakaliki, the Ebonyi State capital, disqualifying the state governor, David Umahi, from contesting the senatorial election under the platform of the All Progressives Congress. The court declared that Section 115 of the Electoral Act forbids a person from contesting two different primary elections in the same year. INEC had omitted Governor Mahi's name from its list, explaining that it never monitored any rerun primary announcing him as candidate. Well, before today's judgment, INEC Commissioner Mr. Mike Guinea had, during an interview on Channels Television's Sunrise Daily, also cited Section 115 of the Electoral Act as referred to by the court today.
You know, there's a time for the sales of nomination forms. It will have closed. Now, what is even expected with respect to those under Section 31 who have withdrawn, all right, is for those who bought the form before to now be the one to participate in a new primary under Section 84, subsection 1, because the sales of forms had long closed. But I've watched on your television here people walking into their way to prison when they say that they bought two forms. Section 115, subsection D, prohibit that. In fact, subsection 3 of 115 says that even the attempt itself will be treated as the offense. Go and read it. It's there.
And let's head over to some business news. Here's Teniola Shibowale.
Thanks a lot, Millicent. Welcome to Business News. Global wheat prices tumbled today to the lowest level since the start of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, with the U.S. wheat futures down 3% to $755 per bushel. This comes as Russia and Ukraine today signed a United Nations-backed deal to resume shipments of Ukrainian grain through the Black Sea. Global grain prices have also fallen further in reaction to the agreement signed by both countries, which together account for a quarter of the world's wheat exports. The European Union has announced a new partnership with Nigeria that will allow the export of gas to the EU, amid Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Speaking with reporters in Abuja, the European Commission's Deputy Director General in charge of energy, Mr. Matthew Baldwin, explains that the policy will create a win-win platform for both countries at a time when the world is facing cuts in gas supply.
Following the Russian invasion of Ukraine and instability in our gas market, the threat perhaps to cut off supplies altogether, we have launched the Energy Platform Task Force. And the primary goal is to reach out to our reliable partners to replace, such as Nigeria, to replace the gas from Russia with gas from reliable partners such as Nigeria. You will have seen, I think perhaps earlier this week, that we've launched a gas demand reduction plan. We're looking to our member states, each of our member states, to reduce demand for gas by 15%. That's part of the managing the demand side of the equation. We also, to be very clear, will need to manage our supply side, and that's why we want to expand what is currently a 14% share of our total LNG imports from Nigeria. We want that to go up. And this has been very much the focus of the extremely good discussions we've had during the course of this week.
The Nigerian Association of Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture is asking the federal government to address the necessary economic parameters to prevent Nigeria from slipping into another recession. In a statement released at the end of its third quarter economic briefing in Lagos, the Chamber welcomed the latest decision by the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee to raise the monetary policy rate from 13% to 14%. However, it explains that the move was majorly an inflation management government measure and did not address the root cause of the inflation, such as rising food prices, devaluation of the naira, and high cost of energy and transportation. Well, let's check in on the stock market now. John Mekwa has the details.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the stock market report. Well, I was really hoping to report that the market has recovered today, but that's right, the bear is still in control and bargain hunting is rather subdued as the NGX closed with a drop in the all-share index at 0.27%, with the market losing that 52,000 level. Now we are down to 51,000. Banking stocks are still directing the sentiment in the market as UBA and GTCO led the top trades by volume, and that's mostly because buying activities were focused there. Not surprising that the counter closed deeply in the red, with GTCO losing 10 kobo, UBA losing 5 kobo, and Zenith Bank losing 1 naira 20 kobo. Consumers Goods was able to flip to the other side. It closed up 0.22%. International Breweries was favored today, unlike yesterday. Looks like some investors took advantage of the dip it recorded yesterday. Well, a red week, a buying opportunity, depends on what you want to see. It's your take. That's the stock market report. I'm John Mekwa.
And that's Business News Tonight. I'm Teniola Shibowale. It's back to Millicent.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Teniola. Hailed as a first step to solving the global food crisis, Russian and Ukrainian officials have signed a deal which will free up grain exports from Black Sea ports. The signing ceremony took place in Istanbul in the presence of Turkish President and UN Secretary General. For more on this and other international news, here's Simon Pusey with Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Turkey says it has brokered a deal with Russia to unblock exports of grain from Ukraine through the Black Sea. Turkish President Tayyip Recep Erdogan made the announcement saying he would give good news to the world about grain exports after delegations from Ukraine and Russia signed a deal under a United Nations plan to resume Kyiv's grain exports. Earlier, the Turkish Foreign Minister met with the Secretary General of the UN. The agreement in Istanbul is between Ukraine, Russia, Turkey and the United Nations. Ukraine is one of the world's largest grain producers, and Russia has been blockading its major Black Sea ports. The world shortage of Ukrainian grain since Russia invaded has sent food prices soaring and left millions at risk of hunger. Former White House aides have described extended, exhaustive efforts to persuade President Donald Trump to record a video on January the 6th telling his supporters to leave the Capitol.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
But even more telling were Mr. Trump's asides in the second recording session, captured in previously unseen outtakes of the former president, including one where he says, "I don't want to say the election is over."
Have defied the seat of dust. It's defiled, right? See, I can't see it very well. Okay, I'll do this. I'm going to do this. Let's go. But this election is now over. Congress has certified the results. I don't want to say the election's over. I just want to say Congress has certified the results without saying the election's over, okay?
Security forces in Sri Lanka have raided the main anti-government protest camp in the capital, arresting protesters and dismantling tents. Hundreds of troops and police commandos moved on the protesters outside the presidential offices in Colombo hours before they were due to leave the area. 9 people, including 2 who were injured, have been arrested by police. Police described the incident as a special operation to take back control of the presidential secretariat. It comes as Ranil Wickremesinghe was sworn in as president on Thursday, after ex-president Gotabaya Rajapaksa fled the country last week. Police in Brazil say 18 people have been killed during a raid against a criminal gang that controls one of Rio de Janeiro's most violent favelas. 400 heavily armed military police were deployed to the Almeo favela in the early hours of Thursday. Officials said 16 of the dead were suspected criminals, while a police officer and a bystander were the other 2 victims. The operation lasted all day and left thousands trapped in their homes. The objective of the raid was to locate and arrest criminals who were planning operations in rival slums. The 400 officers were backed up by 10 bulletproof vehicles and 4 helicopters. Intense clashes have erupted between rival factions in Libya, with reports of several people killed amid growing concern that a political standoff could prompt renewed conflict. Witnesses also said there was fighting in the Aspar area and in the Ain Zara. Tripoli residents said a man and a child had been killed. Local news reports, citing medical sources, later said that 5 people had been killed. Libya has been teetering on the edge of chaos for months after the Eastern-based parliament rejected the unity government in Tripoli, which was installed through a UN-backed process last year. Twitter has blamed its ongoing battle to close its $44 billion acquisition by Elon Musk and a weakening digital advertising market for a surprise fall in quarterly revenue and a net loss. The results come as Twitter has sued Musk for dropping his offer to buy the company and is now preparing for a legal showdown in a trial set to begin in October. The deal has worried Twitter's advertisers and caused chaos inside the company. Total second quarter revenue, which also includes revenue from subscriptions, was $1.18 billion compared with $1.19 billion a year earlier, while analysts were expecting $1.32 billion. And finally, a new photograph of Prince George has been released to celebrate the future king's 9th birthday. The photograph was taken during a family holiday in the UK earlier this month by his mother, the Duchess of Cambridge. Kensington Palace said Catherine and husband Prince William were delighted to share the image with the public. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. Nigeria's Super Falcons have lost the third-place match at the ongoing Women's Africa Cup of Nations played in Casablanca. A goal scored in the 28th minute by Everin Katongo was enough to give Zambia a 1-0 victory over the 9-time African champions. Despite having a large share of possession, the Super Falcons were unable to create clear-cut chances. And hat-trick chasing Ferrari made a strong start to the French Grand Prix weekend with a penalty hit Carlos Sainz, leading Charles Leclerc in practice on a hot day at Le Castellet. And that's it on Sports News. I'm Victor Matthias. Thank you for watching. It's back to Millicent with the wrap of the news at 10.
Thank you, Victor. And the main news again. The Federal Capital Territory High Court today remanded the former Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, and his co-defendants in Kuje Correctional Centre after they pleaded not guilty to fraud charges to the tune of over 109 billion naira. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Morgan. Have a good night and stay safe.